And what comes is a tweet that the Milwaukee Bucks have fired Adrian Griffin. And I was taken aback by that because the Bucks are 30-13. The Bucks have the second best record in the East. The Bucks traded for Damian Lillard. And you're halfway through a season where you're not underperforming. Analytics are saying that the way they're playing, they should have the same record as the Knicks. I don't give a flying rat's pituitary gland about that. They're 30-13. That's like saying the Marlins had a great one-run record, so they really aren't an above 500 team. Well, yeah, they were, and they made the playoffs. It certainly means that it may not happen next year, but we're not at next year. We're still in this year. So, of course, my first thought went to the Celtics. When a coach gets fired in that way, at this time, something happened. So I immediately went to divorce, affair, drugs, arrest. I went through my normal top 5 things that can get a coach of a good team fired in the middle of a contract. Of course, that list gets dwindled when he's in the first year of a 4-year contract. They just hired the guy. Of course, it changes when I had said Adrian Griffin to the Bucks. Giannis has to have been involved. Of course, they went through pains to tell us, no, we did not involve Giannis in our coaching search. Giannis signs an extension when he had threatened, if we don't show that we're going for a championship, if we don't show that we're trying, then I'm going to have to look at my options. Thank you, Giannis. But then he signs it, of course. So clearly, he was involved and wanted Adrian Griffin because the Bucks can't be so stupid as to hire a coach and then have Giannis read about it on Twitter. So I'm going through my list of things that are happening. I call up Coke and I say, I cannot narrow it down and I want to talk about it on the show. And then he and I had an epiphany at the same time. It was like a mutual epiphanasm. Mutiny in Milwaukee. And we started talking about what would have to happen for players to so badly want to fire a coach that they go to the owner, president, and they say, we are so unhappy, we want our coach fired now. And then for the team to actually do it. How big a mutiny would it have to be in a league where player empowerment is the defining characteristic? The definition of the depth of the mutiny required to exercise such a showing of power is way lower than it should be. Now we're seeing pictures of Giannis drawing up plays in the huddle. We're seeing stories where the GM and AGM all of a sudden were attending practices, and instead of being hidden in their offices, they were standing on the sidelines. All signs now point in the rearview mirror, hindsight's 2020, to a real problem with Adrian Griffin. You're 30-13. We could be 31-12. Is that what you think? So, 5 minutes later, in addition to believing there was a mutiny, we got more information. Some conflicting information, God bless CNN and all of its different subsidiaries, which is a great topic for me and Skipper and Pablo to talk about. For Pablo Skipper, 4869, which is a great topic for Pablo Skipper and I to talk about on a future episode. There's so many competing interests. We saw it a little bit with Kimmel and McAfee. So many companies own so many companies that you don't even know who your teammates are anymore. CNN with the report that Doc Rivers is hired. Chris Haynes with the report he's not hired. But yet, where there's smoke, there's certainly fire. Doc Rivers will be the next coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. Doc Rivers, Marquette guy. Doc Rivers loves Milwaukee. Doc Rivers keeps getting jobs. Doc Rivers has the one title. Doc Rivers must be liked, loved by the core 4 Milwaukee Bucks. Doc Rivers was available this offseason. Remember when he did the hostile takeover of Jeff Van Gundy's job and Mark Jackson's job? That had absolutely nothing to do with what Adam Silver wanted? Give me a small break, would you please? Doc Rivers not coaching anyone now, totally available. All of a sudden says, you know what? TV being the #1 analyst, let me get back. I miss it. I missed the sideline. So the rumor is that Doc Rivers is going to be the new coach of the Bucs. What do you think? Is that going to be the difference? Think the four guys will be happy? I have a news flash for you, Jimmy Haslam. And for the president of the Bucs, you know who you are, and I know who you are. Once you let players make your decisions and do your job, there ain't no going back.